I got to the end of this day, and everything was recorded live, sat together in the house. And the cameraman also does the editing. So he's left the house, and he said, yeah, I'm going to obviously go home, start to carve some edits up. I'll send you the downloads on, Dropbox or WeTransfer or whatever. Off he goes. I hear nothing. Next day, I get a phone call from my PR guys who booked him. And they're like, we've got a problem. What happened? He goes, well, it's called Cam. He goes, Cam got robbed last night. He's lost all the footage. Have you got any podcast horror stories or podcast humor stories?
Man, I'll tell you, podcasting, especially in the early days, is rough. There was a moment, and one day I got to talk to Ken Shamrock and Ed Milet in the same day. And I had Ken Shamrock first, and I was recording on this platform called Ecamm on my Mac. And it was basically FaceTime, and it was recording, right? And so I had Ken Shamrock on my show. I'm thinking, man, this guy's awesome. Like, I can't believe I'm talking to Ken Shamrock. And he kept getting texts. And every time he got a text, it would turn off my recorder. And about 2 minutes in, that happened for the first time. I said, Ken, I'm really sorry. Hey, the recorder turned off. Can I just turn that back on real quick? He's like, oh yeah, no problem. So I turned it back on. And then about 7 minutes into the interview, I look down and my recorder's off. I don't know when it turned off. I'm thinking, crap, I'm having this amazing conversation with Ken Shamrock and no one's going to hear it. Just me and Ken chatting right now. And I'm sweating bullets. I'm like, I cannot believe that this is happening. I finally get this huge name on my show and it's not recording. So I get done with the show. I'm like, hey, Ken, thanks so much, man. I just let it be. And then his team reached out to me like a week later and said, hey, we just wanted to say thanks. And we were having him on the show and it was, how did it go? And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I kept getting texts and my platform, for some reason, it stopped recording and I can't release anything. I really apologize, but thank you for reaching out. And they said, hey, let's just rebook them. And I was like, shut up, man. So I got to actually rebook it with him. But I'll tell you, after that first conversation with Ken that day, I was nervous as hell to record my conversation with Ed, that the same thing was going to happen. And man, I was sweating bullets, but the conversation with Ed was life-changing. We were supposed to have a 20-minute call and we ended up chatting for 30 minutes. And how I got the call was I won Ed Milet's Max Out Community Challenge on Instagram, where he said, submit a 1-minute story and tell me why you want to be successful, what drives you to be successful, and tag me on a story. He had about 1 million followers at the time, and I don't know how many submitted, but I submitted mine, and he kept posting all these things like, here's a top runner, and then I wake up one day to a tag from Ed Milet, and I was like mind blowing, and it totally changed my life.
Oh, wow. So I've got my podcast issue, if you like, my podcast mental block is I'm always terrible with names, which I'm not in real life. It just must be some psychological issue that comes on when anytime the camera starts to record. Which I'm looking at your name now, and actually I think it's probably impossible to get Erik Allen in any other way. So I think that's why I probably never stumbled when I was introducing it. But I mean, pretty much any other name, I can be completely perfect. And then as soon as the camera goes, I'm like, how do you say that name? How do you say that name? How do you say that name? I always seem to get there, but in my head, I drive myself crazy that I'm going to get it wrong. But I tell you, talk about your camera your recorder not recording, having to re-record with Ken. Years ago, I used to, this is before I had my own cameraman, who I have now if I record the live one. I used to use this freelance guy. Love him to bits. And, he watches and listens to some of this stuff. So if he's listening, he knows I love him and hate him at the same time. But this particular day, we were recording in London. We used to batch record. We had like celebrity guests or tried to book a few great guests at once. We'd get them all at the same time. So I literally recorded 5 or 6 at once in London. And there was an actor who'd been in Hollywood movies, well-known guy. There was a celebrity chef from the UK. We had literally 5 or 6 really good guests. And it took my whole day of recording, my whole headspace, because, yourself, doing one podcast, you need to concentrate on. When you need to concentrate on 4 or 5 or 6. And I'm also dealing with work and text and everything in the meantime. They are the fun days, but they're pretty exhausting days. And I got to the end of this day, and everything was recorded live, sat together in the house. And the cameraman also does the editing. So he's left the house, and he said, yeah, I'm going to obviously go home, start to carve some edits up. I'll send you the downloads on Dropbox or WeTransfer or whatever. Off he goes. I hear nothing. Next day, I get a phone call from my PR guys who booked him. And they're like, we've got a problem. So what happened? He goes, well, it's called Cam. He goes, Cam got robbed last night. He's lost all the footage, but don't worry, he's safe. I'm thinking, he's safe? I don't give a fuck if he's safe. What do you mean he's lost the footage? And they were telling me this story, which obviously sounded like this poor guy had been robbed and beaten on the streets of London. As much as I want to hate him, I'm trying to find some sympathy in me. Anyway, I've rung him up. I said, what happened? Are you okay? He said, well, I was hungry when I left your house. He goes, so I drove to the kebab shop and I went inside to get a kebab. I left the hard drive with the cameras on the back seat, but I left the car unlocked. So when I was getting the kebab, some people came past and opened the door and stole everything. I'm like, right, I absolutely have no sympathy for you now. I thought you'd been beaten to a pulp on the streets of London. You were getting a fucking kebab and you've lost 5 or 6 of what would have been some of my best podcast episodes ever, which I never got to re-record any of them.
Oh man, what a crazy story though. That's awesome.
Kills me that guy.
Yeah. Oh man, so funny.